Lifeboat Live. We have 4 simple rules. Number 1, we don't discuss politics, ever. Number 2, this is not a religious channel, and while you might hear people say, God bless you, or I'm going to pray for you, or I wouldn't have gotten through this without my faith, that's fine. What's not fine is to say, my God is better than your God, or here's why you're not getting into heaven. It's not going to fly. Number 3, we believe wholeheartedly if you can't control your tongue, then you can't control your life. So while on board, there's not going to be any cursing in the live chat, period. And number 4, there is no room for mean people on the lifeboat. Because we discuss very sensitive things from people's past in our group setting, we got to protect those people. The only way they feel confident and comfortable discussing those things is in an environment that is free of trolls and mean people. So if you're a mean person or you're a troll, we're going to block you for life. And if your account happens to be less than 24 hours old, we're probably a little suspicious right from the word go. Why? Well, because there are people in this world who enjoy being cruel solely for the sake of being cruel. It's not going to fly here. But if you're here because you're trying to get sober and live your best life, then you might find that the lifeboat is just that, a lifeboat. I'm Captain Tommy Scoville, and we will see you on deck. Good evening, everybody. I'm Captain Tommy Scoville, and you are on the lifeboat. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I hope you had a great Memorial Day weekend. I know that it's still going on here in the good old US of A. In Australia, they celebrate Memorial Day one day before we do. So I was just telling my bobbleheaded partner, I've been doing some business in Australia, and it's not bad enough to have an 18-hour time difference. But when you get an 18-hour time difference, one day ahead, right? So it's tomorrow there. I can wrap your brain around that one. It's tomorrow there. So it's 18 hours difference. And we're celebrating a holiday one day apart. It's been the most confusing 36 hours of my life, trying to get things done with that. Well, people, if you saw tonight's thumbnail, then you probably saw the thumbnail under new management. We have been purchased by the Chinese. Probably going to be there'll be a few changes. I'm kidding, people. We're not. We didn't sell out. Under new management is I was reading. And what I was reading is irrelevant because it wouldn't fall within the parameters of the lifeboat in a lot of ways. But I was reading something, and one of the toughest things for everyone on the planet, whether you're air quotes normal, or whether you're someone who suffers from drug addiction or alcoholism or any other substance abuse disorder, one of the most difficult things that we deal with is regret. And one of the recurring themes that comes up again and again and again is trying to get over the things that you did while under the influence, while living in the life, right? And this is something that everybody struggles with. It's probably the number one thing that we get emailed about. I honestly, I think that that's a pretty safe thing to say, that we get more emails concerning that than we do anything else. Yesterday, I got a text or a comment left on a video, and it was not a video I did. It was a video that my bobbleheaded partner did, and one of the most powerful videos we've done in a really long time. It was one where he talked about his experience with contemplating, the final solution, so to speak, and got a comment left by somebody that, people, I'm pretty cool with the whole comment thing. I really am. You can say what you want, and it's not just a free country, but we're open to other ideas. I think that that's something that the lack of discourse in this country and worldwide has really made the planet a crappier place. So we're wide open to hearing other people's points of view. But this woman lambasted us, for lack of a better way to put it, for
the fact that we live in the past. The comment was that it's a shame that we can't let go of the past so that we can start the future, because a sober life is possible and a happy life is possible, but only if you completely forget your past. And you know that I want to be as kind as humanly possible. I really do, because it doesn't pay off not to be. So I'm gonna think about how to say this so that I don't hurt anybody's feelings. That may be the dumbest thing that I've ever heard in my entire life. Truthfully, I mean, you want to talk about just a stupid thing to say. On the bright side, she finished the comment with, "I'm going to unsubscribe." Well, thank the Lord that this person is going to unsubscribe. People, I want to go over this, right? When we change who we are, right? When you decide that you're going to draw a line in the sand and that you're done and that you're no longer going to be abusing drugs, you really do change everything about who you are, right? Great comment the other day by somebody that said new playgrounds and new playmates, right? Well, that's huge, and that's a very big part of it. But also the mindset that we lived with for the majority of our life changes, and changes massively. Now, I love the thinking about this in terms of new management, because truthfully, that's exactly what it is. For better than 3.5 decades, I was being managed by tar heroin. Every decision that I made was not just tainted by the drug, it was made by the drug. Now, Grant, I'm not shirking responsibility, people. You know, I chose that path, but make no mistake, I was not at the helm. I was not running the ship that was Tommy in any way, shape, or form. And I very much view the change in who I am as new management. And basically what I did was I took over my own life. Ava says the past absolutely needs to be processed. That may be the best way that you could possibly put it. It needs to be managed. You have to work through. And I know that there are people who hate that term because it sounds new agey or whatever, but it's exactly what you do. You work through the things that you did in the past, forgetting your past and moving forward. Let me tell you how that works, okay? When you forget your past and you move forward, a funny thing happens. Your past has a way of catching back up, right? You will be cooking along, life will be perfect. And I have watched this happen so many times, I can't explain it. But you're cruising along, everything is going good. And then all of a sudden, the overwhelming sense of guilt begins to creep up into your life. To slam a door on your past and pretend that it didn't happen is a temporary solution, right, to a problem that you're going to live with for the rest of your life. That temporary solution, and I do mean temporary, for some people it might last a couple of weeks. For some people it might last a couple of months. How many times have you been here on the lifeboat when you've heard somebody say, I can make it a month, I can make it 3 weeks, I can make it 2 months, I can make it 6 months? The reason that 12-step programs have done beautifully, the reason that there are structured ways to get sober is because it is necessary to make sure that there's nothing chasing you down from behind when you start your new life. When you take over the helm of who you are, and it is now under new management, you know the first thing you do? You fire everybody. But before that happens, right, before you kick every single person out the door, you figure out why the hell you're kicking them out the door. It's like taking over a new company. You can walk in and just go, all right, you know what? Everybody gone. Leave right now. We're bringing in a new crew. And we're just going to pretend that we never had 100 employees that ran this company into the dirt. All right? You could do that. It's a possibility. It's not a good one. What you want to do is figure out why the hell the company got run into the dirt in the first place. So you evaluate what every single employee of that company did poorly so that the person that you replace them with doesn't make the same mistakes. It's the exact same thing. When you are under new management as a human being, you better have figured out the mistakes made by the previous management. It's a shame you can't forget your past. Good Lord. I mean, how many times have you heard the phrase, if you forget the past, you're doomed to repeat it? Well, if you don't work through the past, if you don't process the things that you did, figure out why you did them, oh, I promise you'll do them again. I promise. I guarantee you will. People, we fall back to what is comfortable. And unfortunately, I realize it makes no sense. But what's comfortable for most of us is drugging, right? Turning off our emotions is what we have done well for the majority of our life. Now, if you're fortunate and you've only been addicted to drugs a year, great. You know, don't wait to have this conversation 10, 15 years from now. But it's the same whether you did this for a year or whether you did it for 2 weeks or whether you did it for 15. You need to come to grips with what the old management did. You need to come to grips with your past, and you know I'm very fond of the term owning it, right? When my bobbleheaded partner came on and talked about that experience, if you caught that show, then you know that was a difficult experience for him. I mean, a really difficult experience for him. If by some chance you didn't catch that show, shame on you. Go back and watch it. But some of the most powerful parts of that were when we said, this is a cat in a basket. From that point on was really when it got pretty heavy, because I'm looking at my partner at all times, and he looked like he had been hit with a baseball bat. It was something that I remember being really freaked out and really nervous about the whole thing. And I probably said 25 times, hey, you're all right, right? We're good going forward. You're good. Call me, pick up the phone. The next night when we came and did the show, and before we ran the disclaimer and we did all of the things, 90 days sober. All right. 90 days sober today. Found this channel after reading about an article about capsaicin and addicts. God works in mysterious ways. No question. But welcome to the lifeboat and congratulations, because that is absolutely awesome. 90 days is a good chunk for real. That's a hell of a start for the rest of your life. Good for you. But yeah, excellent. Proud of you. That's awesome stuff. So the following night, when we got ready to do the show, Mark still looked like he had been hit with a bat. Maybe not as severe as he had the night before. And I said, hey, doing all right? And again, because we're real big on the communication thing, right? We don't bottle stuff up because it doesn't pay off. Mark said, I'll be really honest with you. I'm not sure that I'm worked through everything from last night. But you understand that the process of him coming and talking about that and working through there has not just made him a better person. It has cemented the foundation of his sobriety. There's a reason that you own your past. It's not so you can stick your chest out and say, see, I took responsibility. It's none of that crap. It's because if you don't take responsibility for the things that you did, and you don't own your past, and you don't admit that the things that happened were because you let them happen, then it's just walking behind you, and it's waiting, and it's waiting, and it's following you. The best thing you can do is turn around and face it. And that's whether it's drug addiction or whether it's anything. I have touched on this many times on this channel. If you're new to it, I have been divorced twice. Both of those divorces are 100% my fault. I can't tell you the change in my life when I finally said that out loud. Truthfully, I mean, that was a life-changing moment for me, because prior to that point, I just crapped all over two people that at one time I was in love with. And that's not healthy if you have kids with one of them, to be sure. And the second one, I could tell you one horror story after another about what this woman did. I mean, I really could. I could probably run 2-3 hour show telling you what my second ex did. And you've heard some of it. I mean, there was some very large amounts of money stolen and identity theft and all kinds of stuff. And you know what? It was my fault. For real. I mean, the reason that all of those things happened was because I took someone who was in pretty good shape as a human being and destroyed them through my drug addiction. And I didn't just do it, I dragged them with me, right? If the woman just had to watch me be a drug addict, that would be one thing. I was sharing dope with her. And I promise you that wouldn't have happened if I wasn't in her life. And it was a life-changing moment. You know, am I proud of it? I'm ashamed of it. But I'm proud of the fact that I can admit it. And I'm proud of the fact that I'm working through it. And it's not behind me. There are days that still, really gets to me. There are days I really feel guilt about it. The difference between that and the old management was I know what's going on those days. You understand? Because I have taken responsibility and admitted what I've done and come to grips with it, I can turn around, face this thing, and cope, work through it, make some phone calls if I need to, go through all the steps that we talk about, get out my big red snap-on sobriety toolkit and start pulling out drawers as fast as possible, trying to find exactly what I need to continue to stay sober. But the idea of just put all that crap in the past and forget about it. Same situation. I will have a day where the guilt of what I did to those two women starts to get to me. The difference is, if you've never taken responsibility and you've never worked through it, you sit down and go, why do I feel the way that I feel? Right? I don't like this feeling. This feeling sucks. I don't know how to make this feeling stop. Oh, no, I do know how to make this feeling stop. Right? I can call the dope man, or I'll pick something else. With guys like me, the relapse doesn't have to start with heroin. The relapse can start, I can just decide to get really drunk. Not my drug of choice, I assure you, right? It's not something I enjoy, but you don't want to go full, Monty on the whole deal. So I'm not going to do that. But for just today, man, for 8 hours, I'm just going to make this stop. I'll drink a half a fifth, and then the following day, maybe I'll do that again because I still don't feel right. Or drink 6 or 7 beers or whatever the case may be. I don't know, smoke a little weed, do something. But all I'm doing is lighting a fuse for heroin. Because one of the days is I'm going to get there and go, you know what? This ain't getting it done. This isn't getting it done. I know it'll get it done. And I'm not going to get addicted. I'm just going to do it for one day, right? Or I'll do it 2 days in a row and then I won't do it on day 3, right? They call that chipping. And I'll chip for, I don't know, a week. Maybe if I'm really getting polished, I might chip for 2. And then one day on day 4, I'll go, screw it. And I'll do it the 4th day and I'll be a drug addict. And then I will end up in prison and there really will be new management on the lifeboat. But I promise you, people, it is a process and it is one I am not going to apologize for. It's one that I'm not going to let any idiot tell me is a bad idea. Are you kidding? I mean, there's not enough characters to really light somebody up the way I wanted to. Right. I wanted to say, oh, you're so right. The best thing you could possibly do is just put it away in a really dark room, shut the door, right? Lock it and move on with your life while it pumps iron behind that door, gets bigger, stronger, tougher. And when that door comes down, you're going to relapse. Right. Believe it. You're going to relapse. I got a great email from somebody right before we went live. And the email said something to the effect of, would it be cool if I texted you if I think I'm about to relapse? Now, I'm not going to do the holy crap, are you kidding me? Right? But of course, that's the toolbox, right? If there's no one else yet right there that you feel like is that, yeah, reach the hell out.
That's like the biggest tool in the toolbox.
Exactly. That is the big, huge crescent wrench thing that,
it's just communication all over it.
Correct. For real. These are the processes, but the process starts, and we have said this from the very first day. The process starts by setting down your drug of choice. But that's not the end of the process, people. That's base camp. Then you figure out why you did drugs. You understand? I mean, and not the simple answer. I did drugs because I couldn't cope. Yeah, no kidding. What was it you weren't coping with? What was that driving force, that was so bad that you just couldn't cope? And, for some of us, if you take 15 to 30 years of doing dope, you just continue to open that door we were talking about, and you shove something else in there and you slam the door shut, right? And then something else happens and you open that door and you shove that in there and you slam the door. And eventually that door just blows open and there's not one beast coming out, right? There's 200. And those are the relapses that send you into a tailspin that can take 5 or 10 years or a set of handcuffs to make stop.
Yeah.
Seventh son, thank you. You are a gentleman. He says, be patient and tough. Someday this pain will be useful to you. What a good,
That's awesome.
great timing.
That's awesome.
Right?
Yeah, for
Great
real.
timing.
It's so true, though.
It is.
It's very true.
It's. The illustration I was talking about with the ex-wives, people, the next, Miss Tommy Scoville, if there's ever another Miss Tommy Scoville, most assuredly will be in considerably better shape than the previous two. The reason the second one got treated the way that she did was because I didn't learn a damn thing from how I mistreated the first one. And I knew so many people, folks, that watched everything going on. I've never said her name. I've never put her on blast. And I don't even think she would care, truthfully. But my first wife, as I've said, was an unbelievable drinker, right? She was a 130-pound girl that could drink a fifth and a half of hard liquor a day and did it day in, day out. A soft day of drinking was 3/4 of a fifth. A really ugly one was sometimes 2. You've never seen anyone drink like this. It was absolutely phenomenal. She would take a water glass, fill it 6 to 8 inches tall with whatever booze was on sale. She didn't much care. And drink it like it was water. Not make a face and then fill it again. And I would just sit there in horror and watch. This was every single night. So the people surrounding us, when the time came that the marriage, hit its final conclusion, which was destined to happen, I sent her to rehab and she got sober and that was the end of the marriage. But when that happened, everybody went, yeah, well, I don't blame you. Boy, that was her fault, huh?
Yeah.
And I bought into that crap.
It's
I let everybody pat me on the back and tell me what a great husband I was. Man, you took care of her for all those years. No, I created it. I really did. I created situations. I guarantee you that when she worked through the past and they said, what were you trying to kill? What was the booze trying to take away for you? Well, it was all about me. Make no mistake. It was all about me. And I'm in a really good place with that. I love her. Pray for her every day. She did a hell of a job raising my kids. She's been sober since she went to rehab. She's a great woman. There's no chance we could ever be anything other than
friends.
I would say somewhat sociable.
Yeah, I got you.
A great woman, truthfully. And if you don't own it, if you try to become a new creature under old management, you screwed. I'm sorry if you don't like that. Truthfully,
it's so true.
It is. It's an absolute fact. And the truth is, it's 90% of why everybody who tries to get sober fails. Right?
Yeah.
We build up this fallacy in our head that the only problem in our life is X. Right? And for some people, X is cocaine. And for some people, X is pills. And for some people, X is booze. Doesn't matter what X is. But we built that up so much that we get 30 days sober and we go, I'm cured. Right? I got nothing to worry about. If you don't understand why you drank yourself to oblivion 7 nights a week, you're going to get back to that oblivion. Because once the honeymoon phase of your sobriety wears off, once you find yourself going, holy crap, this is as good as it gets, right? This is it. Yeah. You remember the back in the day, there was a group of singers that used to hang out together, called themselves the Rat Pack, right? Yep. Frank Sinatra was one, and Dean Martin was another.
Blue Eyes.
And part of their shtick was that they were always drinking.
Yeah.
And
even on their variety shows that they did, they're always drinking, smoking
always.
cigars. Yeah.
Yeah, always. And Dean Martin probably more than all of them. I've read a few books on Dean, and they said that very often the bourbon in those bottles was iced tea. I don't know, doesn't much matter to me. But he used to say the reason that he drank is because when he woke up in the morning, he thought, "This is as good as it gets." Well, it's funny, right? Then you hear that and you go, "Yeah," until you're trying to get sober. And that's the end of the honeymoon period. Is you wake up in the morning and you go, "This is it. It's going to feel like this all day." You know what? I think I'd rather just be drunk, or I think I'd rather just be high. The difference between the small percentage that make it and the people that don't is the small percentage that make it take care of the issues, so that when they wake up in the morning, they go, "Life's good." Right?
Yep.
If this is as good as the day is going to get, it's going to be a hell of a day. But I'm going to do everything within my power to make it even better. Right? You don't wake up thinking all of that doom hanging over you, because you took the time to own the things that you did. You took the time to work through the issues that made you use. Exactly. Sounds simple, right?
Yeah, just simply taking responsibility doesn't make you happy. You're just saying, "Hey, yeah, I did that." And now you got to deal in your own mind, especially, what you just did. I mean, you've admitted it. That's taking responsibility, right? That's pretty much, at least in your mind. At first, that's where it starts. And then part of taking responsibility of that is trying your best to correct what you've done wrong. And most people just think, "Well, yeah, I took responsibility for it. Now they can just kick it out the back door." No,
right?
Not even close. That's always going to pick at you until you deal with that in your own mind, and you might not even know it's happening. It could be picking at you, and you can't even figure out why. Why am I feeling like this? That's why we see therapists sometimes, guys. Sometimes they're able to yank that stuff out of our minds. We hide that stuff away because it hurts so bad. But just saying.
No question. I mean, and that's spot on. The key to all of this is that when you deal with it and you bring it to the surface and you talk about it and you work through it and you admit it to people, when it sneaks up behind you, you'll recognize it, right? I've talked about, really almost destroying 2 women. I was also a really horrendous father. And the saddest part of that is this: there was never a period of my life where I didn't love my kids more than anything on this planet. And that really becomes an issue, because when you really do love your kids, but you put dope in front of them, when dope is more important than what you love most on this planet, that is going to destroy you as a person. And the only way to make that stop is to do more dope.
Exactly.
And that process just continues until you, like Mark said, you take responsibility for it. And not with lip service, not with, I was a bad dad, but figuring out why you were, right? Doing everything within your power to make sure you're never that person again.
And showing the world that. You got to show it.
Right. And showing your kids that, being there for them from that point forward. We talk all the time about, making changes. We talk all the time about trying to get people to treat us as new creations. If it appears to the world that you haven't changed, I assure you, they're going to treat you the same, right? But if you go out of your way to make everyone who looks at you go, "Holy hell, what happened to him?" Right? Then that level of respect will begin to start getting built back. And you know what? That's a self-fulfilling prophecy in itself. Right? It's really an amazing feeling when someone starts telling you that they respect you, or someone starts telling you that they're proud of you. Those things really start to take effect. Really, I can't stress enough, people. And if it seems like we're beating a dead horse, because this is a subject matter that comes up a lot, but if it seems like we're beating a dead horse, the reason is I continue to get emails, every single day about this question, right? I have people that will email me and say, "I've moved on from the past," right? Okay. I mean, move on from your addictions, right?
Yeah.
But your past, I think Niall said it really nicely. You know, you come to grips with it, and it walks with you for the rest of your time on this planet. And if you can, you know, people talk about facing your demons. Unfortunately, they're not going to go away. So it is a continual process of coming to grips. And Mark nailed it. You know, it starts no lip service, real talk, right? It starts with taking responsibility and then figuring out, you know, why you did the things that you did. Then go ahead and fire everybody.
Yeah.
You know, once you figure out exactly what the hell you did wrong, replace it. But
Exactly.
this is the answer, people, to the question that we get the most often. You know, how do you deal with the guilt? You deal with the guilt by overcoming. You deal with the guilt by taking responsibility and by addressing every one of these issues. Is it fun? Hell no. It's one of the worst processes in the world. For real. It's one of the reasons most people don't make it. To seriously and sit and, you know, work through all of that, address the things that you did, take responsibility for it. It is an awful process. But you know the only one worse? Waking up and needing it. Waking up in the morning and needing it. Whether that it is booze or coke or heroin or whatever, that's worse. That's worse than the process of coming to grips with all of the things that you've done, taking responsibility for it, and living with it. You know, that whole moving on thing. Yeah, you move on from the addiction, but you learn to live, right? It's just like the death we talk about, right? You don't get over it. Right. You're not going to get over the things that you did in your life. You're not, right? I'm not going to sit here and BS everybody and tell you that it's going to be flowers. You're not going to get over it, but you're going to learn to live with it. And the longer that you have lived with it sober, the easier it is to forgive yourself, truthfully.
Well, you're learning how to do life again is what happens.
Correct.
It really is. It's you become a whole new person. But the thing of it is that whole new person came from a person that wasn't so great. And, you know, it's a really hard thing for people to wrap their brain around. And, you know, I think me and Tommy got a pretty good grasp on that. And that's what we're trying to share with you guys. And, you know, we hope that everybody can get to that, you know. And like I said, you know, when you take responsibility, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be, most likely, it's going to mean that you're not going to be immediately happy. You're going to feel good about taking that responsibility because it's a step forward. It really is. But then you just can't put it on the shelf and let it start growing mold and everything else, because then what happens is it'll sneak up on you when you don't expect it. And then it'll bite you, and then that becomes a trigger. And then what's that do? Well, you're back using your drug again.
Michelle makes a great point. She said, in therapy, you're taught if you don't forgive yourself, you end up slipping back due to shame. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And the process, and it's the question we get every single day, right? How do I forgive myself? You forgive yourself by addressing all of the reasons that you need forgiveness. You can't just go, you know what? I'm sober now. I'm going to forgive myself for all that crap. It doesn't work like that. It just doesn't. You have to address the things that you actually need to be forgiving yourself for.
I'm going to mention a comment here real quick. Let me find it because I'm going to flash it up there. I'll just say what was said. I guess. Crystal was talking about she's going to try to quit smoking tomorrow. And you guys amaze me every time. There's not a show goes by I don't get amazed by you guys. And the fact that the next comment, like 3 comments down, one Noetic says, "I'll do it with you tomorrow." I mean, it was just like there wasn't even a missed beat there. I mean, it was just like boop, 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 boop. Just normal here.
I love that.
I just wanted to let everybody,
if
they didn't see it, to know it.
Well, and it is literally the concept that started all of this, right? 2 people saying, "I'll do it with you."
Yep. And
started the entire process of people being able to get sober.
And
you know what I just saw?
Go ahead.
Spanx Calhoun. Good to see you, bud.
Yep.
I honestly had no idea that and he's rarely here. Picked a hell of a night.
Yeah.
Picked a hell of a night to pop into the lifeboat.
Yep.
I love you, man. I really do. I love you.
But we got I think it was Swiss at 105 days sober. I'm trying. I'm trying to find he left a comment. I'm trying to find it so I can post it. It's way up there. I had it posted for a second, but we've moved on to a different part of that. Here it is. I found it. There it is.
Okay, there's another really good one back here. You'll find out that there is more sober and successful living people out there than there are addicts who are falling apart. That is a stone cold fact. It really is. It is a stone cold fact. And it's one that I think is really difficult sometimes to wrap your brain around. You know what I mean? I know that when I was really deep in addiction, I used to find myself regularly saying, guaranteed they're doing stuff. I mean, for real, like I had this in my head that there was not a possibility that there really were people out there that coped with problems, raised kids, did all of these things, and did them in a happy, functional way. I just didn't believe it was possible. In my head, everybody was doing something. I'd go, guaranteed they got a prescription of pills in their pocket, right? They're probably on Valium. I was constantly looking for that everywhere because I wanted some kind of justification that I wasn't the person I was, right?
Right.
I wanted to believe that, that I hadn't slipped so far, down that rabbit hole. Truth is, she's right. Or he's right. I'm sorry, either way. The truth is that there is an awful lot of people out there, far greater number of people who are just doing it and doing it right. Mm-hmm. Living a happy existence.
And that's the goal, guys. Let's not forget that. We used to say it a lot, but we're not trying to white knuckle through life. We're trying to be happy. And, and everybody finds their own way there. But just remember that when you're ever talking about any of this stuff, the goal is not just to white knuckle. You might have to white knuckle at the beginning, guys. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you, because sometimes you have to. So there's things that you just got to push through. We get that. We're not so naive to think everything's flowers, roses, and, raining, unicorn dust and unicorn farts all over you and stuff. But, it just, we got to keep that in mind, And Tommy, I flashed that comment up there from Tommy Burris. It also remember forgiving other people. That forgiveness is for yourself, not necessarily for others. 100%.
True story.
100%.
Yeah, true story. Well, and I think sometimes we find in addiction that when you start to really take ownership, you realize that very often, if people do the smallest and the slightest things, we hold on to them like gems. They become some of our favorite things in the world because of all of the crap that I did to people and all of the things that I did that were just so reprehensible. If somebody did just one, I wanted to hold that thing, right? It was like a pet. Yeah, I might be a dirtbag, but remember when they did this to me, right? They did that. And when you start to take ownership for all of the things that you did, and you start to work through that, you realize that, holy gosh, I mean, really, that's what I was holding on to. And I'll tell you something else, people. If the process of reaching out and saying to somebody, you know what, I feel horrible for the person that I was, they don't need to forgive you. They really don't. I mean, and I don't mean for them. I mean for you. The fact that you take the time to do that, that's where the healing starts. Even if the person goes, yeah, you know what, F you, I don't ever want to talk to you again, get out of my life, you can go, okay. But it's truthfully a cleansing process to take that time and to just reach out and say to somebody, you know what, I could have been a whole lot better. I just could have been a better person, and I apologize.
Yeah.
That has really helped me in a big way.
And Spank says something pretty good there too. When you finally find that joy, chase it. And he's right. He's right. I mean, come on, guys.
No question.
Because when you find that joy again, it's going to be something. Because if you've done what we've been talking about, and you're no longer on the drugs, or the alcohol, whatever your thing is, once you find some joy after that, it's going to be a good joy, most likely. Not always, but I'm just saying, most likely if you find some joy somewhere after that fact, he's right. Chase that, because there's going to be other joy around it. I promise.
True story. And there really is a different, we convince ourselves for such a long period of time that, that drugs bring happiness, and they bring nothing but misery. And, Spanx nailed it. The first time that, you get sober and you're doing something and you get that feeling, Mark talked about it in one show where you just go, good Lord, right? Like, I recognize this feeling, right? I'm truthfully happy, and I'm a firm believer of, if it feels good, chase the hell out of it. Don't stop. Keep doing it.
I got to give Mark Pyre some credit for giving that to me, to be honest with you. And this is what I'm talking about, guys. I found, I've been friends with Mark Pyre. He's got a channel, you guys probably know, Renaissance Man. Positive, funny, musical, all that. Go check it out. But what I'm saying here is that I belly laughed for the first time since I was sober watching his channel. Okay? And it was so powerful for me after the fact that I've done it multiple times after now, because I guess I was blocking it. I don't know if my brain was blocking it or if I just couldn't find it yet. Well, I found it, and now I'm belly laughing at stuff my wife says and my kids and back to the old kind of thing, right? I'm finding out what that real happiness is again, because I had it before my addiction. Okay,
this is something that every once in a while those spur of the moment things hit you, like right in the middle of a show. The avatar for my son is not I had never seen the avatar that he chose, and I remember that picture, right? And I'll be really honest with you, people. There was, for the longest time, that picture brought misery. I love my son more than anything in the world, but for the longest time, I looked at that picture and thought, I was wasted when I took that picture. Like, I remember that. But when you posted that up there and I saw that picture, I can't tell you the joy that it brings now.
Oh, yeah.
You really will get to a point where, look, I might not have been at my best, but he was. And when you work through things really do change. But it's a matter of working that process. And yeah, it's not always fun.
Well, I think
in fact, it's rarely fun.
And I think
the payout is so worth it.
And I think that what you're saying there is exactly what we all have to try to grab a hold of. We did so many bad things, but we address them and we move on. But remember, just like Tommy's talking about with his kids, guys, they love you enough to forgive you. They love you enough to give you that chance to show them that you're not that person no more. And make no mistake, you have to show them, which is why it's so important for Tommy to make it to the graduation. That's one of the reasons. That is the driving factor there, I promise. Not to mention that he wants to be there. I mean, that's not what I'm saying. But the fact that why he's so driven there to do that is because he knows he wasn't there for so many things. And he's trying to show that he's not that person no more. And I have to say, you're doing a pretty damn good job of it. I mean, it's awesome to see that stuff. And you guys in the chat, you guys have said the same thing about Tommy, and we said the same thing about you guys. And that's the thing, guys. This is what we have to do for each other. Sometimes we don't see it. Don't be afraid to say it.
Right.
And, I think we've provided a place here that everybody says it to each other most of the time. And it's such a great thing. I could probably count on a number of times I've come off this show, maybe on one hand, that I didn't feel better before I started.
Yeah, no question.
You know what I mean? Sometimes it might not be way up here, or but it's a little bit here, and sometimes, a lot of the times, it's way up there. That's why. Yeah, go ahead.
When I think about all of the shows that we've done a bunch of shows, people. I mean, there's just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of this. But one of the shows that really sticks with me was I remember when you were talking about, the show we were doing was, not fake it till you make it, but live as if. And there have been, you brought up that, you guys don't always see the beginning of these shows. We sit, we talk for a few minutes before we go live, and then we, afterwards we sit and we talk for a few minutes. But there have been shows where the two of us have looked at each other and said, well, I don't want to do this one. Like, I am not in the mood to do this show. I'm not. And I have never once started a show that way and then ended a show that way.
Yeah.
Truthfully, I swear to God, that's the truth. It's
No,
never once
I agree.
happened.
Yeah.
And and what it is it's there's no other explanation, in my opinion, than it's just the bond that people in recovery build with one another. It's that
It's true
it's
love,
family.
dude. It really is.
Yeah,
That's
we
love.
show up and you come and you're in a bad mood, you don't feel like doing this. Within 2 minutes, Jackson has told you he loves you. Someone else in there is telling someone else, yeah, you know what, show up tomorrow. It'll be one day for each of us and with no smokes. And you just start looking, and it's the best of humanity slapping you in the face.
Yeah.
And very oftentimes at the start of this show, the very worst of humanity has been working on me all day long.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're out there in the world and you're dealing with things that sometimes are just ugly, and the day-to-day, the grind, bills or whatever. And then you come here, and the very best of humanity
is here.
It's just right here, and there's a reason that we keep doing this.
And it starts with love, but then after you get that love, there's an element of trust here that you don't get other places. And if that trust wasn't there, there would be none of that joy and love, because nobody would be saying anything like they do in the chat.
Right.
Because you guys are opening up. You guys are becoming, not just you guys, it's us too. There's still stuff that me and Tommy struggle with wanting to talk about. Like I said, my suicide episode, that was hard for me.
Yeah, that was tough.
I mean, it jacked with me for a week. I have to tell you, it really did. I strummed up memories that I hadn't had for 15 years. And, and just like we were just talking about, I needed to deal with that. I didn't even know it was there. Right? So it helped me deal with it. I'm okay now. Honestly, I really am. But I realized that there was still stuff there that I needed to address in my own mind. But anyway.
Cemetery 76 says, I found that joy on a hot stack of fluffy pancakes.
There you go. That's awesome. That's worthy of that right there.
Take it where you get it, brother. Take it where you get it.
That's so awesome. It really is.
Oh, yeah. You know what? There's probably a lesson in that. I'm not even being funny. I'm not necessarily suggesting that we all eat for happiness, but what I am suggesting is that sometimes it comes from the funniest places, and some of the smallest things. I swear to you, people, this exasperating furry ball of energy that is usually in a basket next to me is, I would say about 10% of the day, I would like to bring this cat back to the pound. And the other 90% of the day, she brings joy that I just can't explain. There are lessons in everything, and Squirrel is a lesson. At 5 o'clock in the morning, she's up and her tail's wagging. And, there's something to be said for that. You get up in the morning and you start the day and you just go. She's not a big fan of me making the bed at 5 in the morning, likes to do everything within her power to make sure that can't happen. But yeah. The pancakes, brother, I'm with you.
Brandon says, my fiance saves me every day I wake up. It's a great comment for a lot of reasons. And one of those is, guys, we can't be afraid to lean on other people. And that's exactly what that is. If your fiance is there and you get that happiness from that, you're leaning on her a little bit for some of your happiness. And it's okay to do that. That's where the trust comes in. You got to open yourself back up, because we become so closed in during our addiction. And
please tell me, Brandon, that you tell her that on the regular.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Please tell me that exact same comment that's on the screen right now, tell me she's heard that.
Yeah.
Because if she hasn't, she needs to.
Exactly.
Right? For real.
I say it a lot, but I don't say it enough, to be honest with you. My wife's my best friend. I say that so much, but I don't think I could say it too much, is what I'm trying to say. Because
and a lot of times, people, I know I've told the story 100 times, but when my dad was still alive, he called me one day and he said, I'm miserable. I said, what's the problem? He said, your mom's on vacation. She went somewhere. He said, and she's not here, and I'm miserable without her. And I said, man, you're calling me to tell me that? Right? Call her and tell her that. After 50 years of marriage, that's really something that you should call him. Please pass that on. Like, do that.
That's awesome, Brandon. You do that, so that's awesome, man.
Yeah, good.
Yeah,
because that's awesome. That really is awesome. Good stuff.
And I can tell you this, that you become such a more, and I'm talking mentally here, guys. You become so much more healthy when you do stuff like that. Let me tell you something. I did a show on Wages World a while back been quite some time, and I called flipping the script. And I was taking the negative part of the internet, which is, in my opinion, sometimes that wall is there and you don't know who you're talking to, right? So you don't have that. So I did a show, and I used that because I was too, I guess, embarrassed, ashamed, or whatever it was, to tell the people that I loved exactly how I felt. So I did it in a video. Because I sent it to the people and I shared it with everybody, because I didn't do that so people could say, oh, look what Mark did, da, da, da. No, I did that so maybe somebody could take a lesson from that and do the same thing. You didn't got to make a video, but just go tell the people that you love that you do. It's once you start doing it, if you're embarrassed or you feel shy or you just feel like, man, it's hard for me to say, but that's exactly how you feel, right? And you can't assume that the people around you know how you feel. So you have to make that known. Even if it's just one time. Start the conversation off like this. Listen, guys, this is extremely hard for me to say. And then you tell them how you feel. And then from that point forward, you could even come up with little gestures or whatever. Like, maybe, give them a thumbs up and it means I love you, or something like that. There's things that you can do there that can help tremendously with your relationships with everybody. Because I am one person to tell you that it's hard for me to express those intimate things face to face with people. Always has been for me. And I don't know why, but it just was. I knew I was always loved, so it didn't come from there. My parents were great. Growing up, I always knew I was loved. And I think that's a lot of the reason why I am the way that I am. But, and that's also the reason why I felt so bad when I got addicted, because I was no longer that person for a while. And I realized it, and thank God it was due to that same love that they had given me all my life, and extended out then to my wife and it all grew, and I didn't even know how much love I had. Honestly, it was so, man, it was just so powerful for me on the back end of it. When you're in the moment, you're not going to see that. Okay. I get it. You're just not, you're just trying to make it to the next minute of your withdrawal. But once you're able to do what I've done and look back on it, and you can look back on it 30 days down the road, a week down the road, everybody's different. But I don't suggest just leaving, because we talk about expressing the bad feelings. Well, we have to express the good feelings just as much, if not more. And nobody, hardly anybody does that anymore. It doesn't make you less of a man, men. Matter of fact, it makes you a hero when you say stuff like that to your women, because they know how you feel from then on out. So just so you know.
No, I think that there's probably something to that. Whether they're your significant other, no matter who they are, there really is something to be said for, and it goes really almost full circle, because under the new management thing, it's the same principle. You know what I mean? When you're changing behaviors, let the people in your family, let the people in your life, let the people you work with, anybody, let them know how much they mean to you. It's a very big deal. My business, my channel, everything that I do, without the assistance of the mythical Linda, I would probably be in some pretty deep shape. She keeps the boat, the literal boat, on a much more even keel than it has ever been. So
yeah,
much love to Linda.
I hear what you're saying. So
yeah,
but yeah,
people, this has been a fun Sunday night. It really has. And to be really honest, we might sell out to the Chinese. No, I'm just kidding. No, but from time to time we love throwing up. It's semi clickbait. From time to time, it's always fun to make the people that hate us think we might be selling out.
Well, you know what? If the Chinese would say, "Hey, we'll quit selling all those drugs over there to those people. We'll give them the channel. They can have the channel."
Right.
I'll call everybody. How about that?
Yeah. Perfect.
But yeah, guys.
No, we're in good shape. I promise we're not going anywhere. But I'm probably going to wrap this up about 3 minutes early, because I literally can smell dinner, and it's I run this I eat a little late, people, but this is a good one. It's potatoes au gratin. And I can smell it, and it's absolutely it's
Mama,
just good
Mama
stuff. It's
fixing
not
that one.
pancakes, cemetery, sorry, but still pretty good stuff.
Yep. My wife's an awesome cook, so I know what if I'm taking a nap or whatever, especially like on Sundays, we try to get our family together in one place, and man, I tell you what, waking up to that stuff is just awesome.
Trying to get becomes a challenge.
And then when you don't smell it, you're like, what you been doing?
Right?
Just kidding. But yeah.
Leisure, I too love this boat, and I love all of you in it. You guys are in my thoughts and prayers constantly. And if you were the one that sent me that email, I hope you got the response that I sent back, because obviously, if you need me, reach out. Alrighty, people, we will be back 23 hours from right now, right here, same bat time, same bat channel. And between now and then, reach out and try to save somebody. People, I am Captain Tommy Scoville. And on the other side of the glass,
Mark Wages.
And this is a cat in the basket. Good night, everybody. We love you.